Welcome. Today we are holding a lunch and learn session on the USDA's Ag Marketing Services Pandemic Response and Safety Grants. And we are streaming this to Facebook so that you can watch it later if you're unable to watch it today at noon. So FARRMS just learned about these USDA grants last week. This is a part of the COVID stimulus package that the government released this past spring. And these are grants for small farm and food businesses who've implemented COVID-19 adaptations, especially those for worker safety. So FARRMS is not paid by the USDA to put on this workshop, and we don't have any additional information other than what the USDA has released publicly. However, our goal is to support sustainable farmers in North Dakota, and we believe that a lot of you will be eligible for these grants. So we are holding the session to get the word out publicly, make as many of you aware of this grant as possible, and help make it easier for you to apply for this grant. So we're here to help in any way that we can. This session is being recorded as well as live streamed to Facebook. So you can access the recording later on our Facebook page, or we will post it on our website as well. If you have any questions during the session, you can enter them into the chat box if you're participating on Zoom, or you can enter them into the comment section on Facebook if you're participating on Facebook. We have uploaded handouts from the USDA into one Google Drive so that they're as easy as possible to find. And we will put the link to those on our Facebook page so that you can find that information easily. So today we're going to review what the aspects of this grant are. We're going to give you an overview of who this is for, what it is for, how much, and when you should apply. We'll help you determine if you're eligible, and we'll review eligible activities for which you can request reimbursement, and we'll spend time on the process to apply for a DUNS number. So who is eligible for the USDA's Pandemic Response and Safety Grant? Small-scale specialty crop producers, food processors, manufacturers, distributors, and farmers markets. You must qualify as a small business or be a 501c3 nonprofit. And we'll go into this in more detail in a minute. What is this for? It is to recover costs incurred by making adaptations for COVID-19, including measures to protect workers. We will go over that in more depth as well. The application period has not yet opened. It's going to open next week on September 23rd. And you will have until November 8th to submit an application. And what is the grant amount? The minimum that you can apply for is $1,500. The maximum you can apply for is $20,000. There is no cost share or match required for this grant. And I'm just going to pause a moment and say welcome to Shirley, who has joined us in Zoom. So, hi, Shirley. And if you have any questions as I'm going through, I will pause at the end of each section, and please share any questions you have. So there is a fact sheet available from the USDA, and that is in the resources that we've collected. So this is a very concise overview of this grant. And there's also a great, there's a website with the application portal and all of the information you need. So who is eligible? They're saying small specialty crop producers, that is small scale, as well as food processors, manufacturers, distributors, and farmers markets. You must qualify as a small business, which is determined by the number of employees you have or your average income over the past 3 years. In general, that is under $1 million in average annual income or under 500 employees. It varies by specific industry, and we will go through each of those. 501c3 nonprofits are eligible. This might be more applicable if you're a farmer's market or maybe a food hub aggregator or processor, and farmers markets are eligible. So there is specific eligibility information at this webpage, and there is a link to that in the materials. So how do you know if you're eligible? The easiest thing to do is to, I just need 1 second to get back to my page. Oh, thank you, Felicity, for dropping the resources in the Google Drive. So okay, perfect, here we go. So USDA/PRS.grantsolutions.gov/USDA. This is saved in the slides in the handouts that you'll get. They have an overview and they have a link where you can check your eligibility. So it is people who are in crop production, shellfish farming, aquaculture, and apiculture, food manufacturing, or merchant wholesalers of non-durable goods, that is perishable things like produce. So I've given you some slides. So, okay, here's our link. So check your eligibility. It's the first green box. Most of the farmers that FARRMS works with, I think would fit under NAICS code 111219, which is other vegetables except potato and melon farming. If you are a farmer's market grower or have a CSA, you're growing a broad variety of fresh produce, you probably fit under that category. And the requirement is simply that your size is an average income of under $1 million per year.
Can I ask a quick question on this? So for some of our growers who are maybe like, they do have apples and berries, but other vegetables as well, do they still fall under other vegetable? Like, you know, so like in order to be considered a potato farmer, do you need to be almost entirely potatoes? I just want to make sure that some of our growers who are doing a mix of some of these categories would know which one they fall under.
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
And that's one of those things that I wonder about too. So this is literally just the information that the USDA has provided. And I'm hoping that we can seek out other experts and resources to answer some of these questions. But the main thing is that they would qualify for this grant. So I'm not sure how specific, as long as you fit under one of these categories, and maybe you'll fit under more than one category, but you can demonstrate on the application that you qualify. Food manufacturing is another applicable category. I'm thinking of like some of our value added producers, people who sell canned goods at the farmers market. And again, I would have to find more information, but I would assume that would fit under here. Meat processing and animal slaughtering also fits under here. So I know that there have been a lot of new meat processors that have started up in North Dakota over the last year. So I would like them to be aware that they may qualify for this as well. And then wholesalers. So we're not sure if grocery stores fit under this category. And I'm currently reaching out to find out more about that. But there is a separate category for retailers that does not fit under this grant. And so I'm not very confident that grocery stores would fit. But again, that's something that we'll get more information on. I'll pause here for questions. If there are any in the Facebook comments, Felicity, or if Shirley has any questions.
I was just wondering, whoops, I'm sorry.
Nope, you go ahead.
Well, I'm from the Bisman Community Food Co-op.
Oh, great.
So we have obviously a lot of local producers that sell in our store, which is one reason why I tuned in, because even though we're kind of a grocery store, we are a local foods hub, local foods market. So that's why I tuned in, hoping that maybe it might be something that we might be able to apply for. We only have 15 employees, you know, so we definitely have a low enough number of employees. And even in our fresh products, like looking at our produce, I want to say we have about 30 North Dakota producers that contribute throughout the year. So, and then we also added a fresh meat market, and we have beef producers, and even just added a pork one just this month as well, that are all North Dakota based. So that's why I tuned in. And I know that you said your grocery stores qualify, but I'm hoping that because of the type of store we are with our heavy focus on local producers, that we're probably going to apply either way, you know, but that's why I'm here.
I'm so glad you tuned in, because my main goal with this is to just get the word out. I haven't gotten to that slide yet, but there's, I think, 650 million available, and they're expecting 300,000 applicants. And the application process is very simple. It's like 2 forms, and I've been told that once you have your DUNS number, it'll take 5 to 10 minutes to apply. So the short version is people should just apply for this, and because the money is there, and it's there to help our small scale producers. I've reached out to Jigs Disty from the North Dakota Grocers Association. The question I'm trying to figure out is what constitutes a wholesaler? Like, how does somebody know if they're a wholesaler? Because you're buying directly from the farmers. So would that make you a wholesaler? I hope so.
Yeah, we do. And I know that we work really hard too at making sure that we pay the farmers and producers a fair price. Like our producers, when you buy it here, they're getting 60 to 70% of what you're paying here went right into their pockets. So that's pretty significant. Now the meat, part of that goes directly to the farmer, part of that goes to a local processing plant. So there's 2 places that we support locally with our meat.
Excellent. Yeah. Eligible activities. So the minimum request is 1,500, the maximum request is 20,000. As I said, 650 million was put into this program, and they're expecting a lot of applications. This is for costs incurred between January 27th, 2020, so going back a year and a half, and until December 31st, 2021. So some costs that may not have been incurred quite yet. We've got a few months. And the reason they chose January 27th, 2020 is because that was the date that I believe the Department of Health and Human Services declared a health emergency with the pandemic. So the specific activities include workplace safety. And again, I'm just going through the activities that they listed on their website. So safety measures to protect workers, such as personal protective equipment, thermometers, cleaning supplies, sanitizer, hand washing stations, air filters, new signage counts. Market pivots, implementing market pivots to protect workers against COVID-19. So last summer, we did some webinars on how to set up a new website, how to set up a shopping cart on your website, how to sell local food online. So the costs of setting up those websites, the cost for your shopping cart, those would all be eligible. Communications, online or print materials that you use to communicate those market pivots, also eligible. Retrofitting facilities. So if you installed and purchased protective barriers, such as those made of plexiglass or plastic sheeting, if you put up a new walk-up window, heat lamps and heaters, fans, tents, propane, weights, tables, chairs, and lighting. Some of the farmers markets that we've worked with have had to purchase equipment to facilitate COVID safety, to redirect customer traffic, to space things out more. Transportation, additional transportation options to maintain social distancing and worker and consumer safety. So additional transportation services for workers or new delivery routes or distribution services. And I'm not certain, but I'm thinking things like maybe you set up a new online shopping service and now you have to deliver the products to your customers. I'm hoping that they will release more information when the application is available. So I don't know if mileage is going to count. I would hope so. Oh, okay. And two more, worker housing. So if you had to secure additional housing resources to maintain social distancing or to allow for quarantining of new or exposed employees. Or medical, if you provided health services to protect workers, such as if you offered or enabled vaccinations, testing, or healthcare treatment of infected employees, including paid leave due to COVID-19 infection. And just a few notes on this. I did get a little bit of supplemental information from Winrock International, which is a local foods organization funded through the Wallace Foundation. Re-granting is not allowable through this. This is distinct from other programs that they've rolled out for farm worker support. So this grant is directly to the small business or nonprofit that incurred the costs. And then they're unsure if staff time is eligible. It seemed like probably not, but don't have a definite answer yet on that. Are there any questions or comments about the eligible activities? If there aren't any, I will move on to the section on the DUNS number. So the most important thing right now, because the application has not yet been released, the most important thing to do after determining if you're an eligible business is to make sure that you have a DUNS number. So DUNS stands for Dun & Bradstreet, and it is a number that is required for anybody that receives funds or does business with the federal government. They have set up a separate portal for applying for the DUNS number just for this grant because they're anticipating so many applications. So I have the link to that on the slides, dnb.com/pandemic response. Don't wait to do this. It can take 5 business days to get a new DUNS number. It's just one of those things, just do it now, get it over with. It will likely take longer than you anticipate, but it's crucial to this process. So do it now, get it out of the way. You need to make sure you have a current and accurate email address or phone number because they will contact you at the address or phone number that you provide. And you're going to need to provide basic company info and upload 2 documents supporting the business info you entered. And on the next slide, I have the list of documents. So you might need a minute to find those documents. Your documents must contain the legal business name and current physical address of the business. And when you're ready to upload the documents, the list that they provided includes GIF files, JPEGs, PNG, so image files, DOC and DOCX, which is Microsoft Word, Excel files, CSV, which is also like a database file, text, and zip. I do not see PDFs listed here. So pay attention to your file type, and that'll make your upload process a lot easier. So the acceptable documents, and you need 2 of these, and this is only divided into 2 columns so I could fit it on the slide. So it's not like 1 from column A and 1 from column B. It's 2 from anywhere on the list. Secretary of State Articles of Incorporation, Secretary of State Receipt of Filing, Taxpayer Identification Number Confirmation Letter, Employee Identification Number Confirmation Letter, DBA or Assumed Name Certificate Filing, that's like doing business as, homeowners or renters insurance, lease agreement, mortgage, phone or internet bill, utility bill, city or state tax permit, invoice from a third party, or proof of insurance. So any of these documents that verify that you have a business. Now, if some of the farmers we work with haven't made their business official yet. And I do have a little guide that we created for our farm beginning students on making farm business startup checklist. So bit.ly/ND_farm biz startup checklist. This takes you to links to the State of North Dakota New Business Startup Resources, how to register a trade name with the North Dakota Secretary of State, and how to apply for an EIN number. So I think it would be reasonable to assume you could do these things prior to November 8th and get yourself official so that you could apply for this grant. Any questions so far? Okay. Okay, so I do have some slides on how to go through that DUNS number application process. And I just need a minute to get to them. Okay, thank you for your patience. I've got them now. Okay, so applying for a DUNS number. They have a easy website to go to complete your application, dnb.com pandemic response. When you go there, this is the first, so I screenshotted it all so that it would be ready to go to show you. This is the welcome screen. You're just going to click proceed. They're going to ask for your email address. That's just to help them keep track of your application. Then they'll ask for some basic info about your company: name, company, job title, address. Then you may already have a DUNS number. You may have applied for a federal grant in the past. You may have done some contracting or something. So you can look up to check. I just created a fake business to go through the lookup process. You just enter your business name and city and state and zip code, and it will come back with all the possible matches. So this is my actual baking business that I used to run here in Bottineau. It does have a DUNS number, so it showed up. So if you have a DUNS number, you know, you can click select and it'll show you what your DUNS number actually is in case you've forgotten. You're good to go. You've got a DUNS number, but maybe you don't have a DUNS number. So then you click the other button, create a DUNS number, and that's going to take you here. You're going to enter your full legal business name. If you have a trade name or doing business as, you can enter that. You're going to so the ones in red are required. You're going to need to enter a phone number, and you must be sure you enter the physical address where you keep the books and records. This can be your residence. Do not use personal mailboxes, PO boxes, or third-party mail sites, or your application will be denied. So physical address of your business, city, state, zip. Legal structure. So you can choose sole proprietorship. There's also others like a C Corp or an LLC. But if you're a very small business and it's just you, and maybe you have, you know, sole proprietorship is a good option. State of incorporation, North Dakota. CEO name, that would be you, the business owner. Title, this is a whole long drop-down list, but owner is in there. It probably doesn't matter too much which one you pick. Email, make sure you use an email address that you check often. This is where they will try to reach you. If you have a website, you can choose this. Home-based business, it's a simple yes or no checkbox. And then the number of employees and the date that you started the business. And it says approximate date is allowable if the exact date is not available. And then this is where you attach those documents. So it's a browse and upload, and you can provide additional emails. And again, be aware of your file type so that it is easier. Are there any questions about the DUNS number? None from Facebook. Okay, great. So once you have your DUNS number, and so how do you submit your application? Well, it won't be available until next week, but this is the portal where you can go not only to submit the application, but there's a lot of information there as well. That's where they have the links to check your eligibility and to apply for your DUNS number. And once you have a DUNS number, it's a fairly simple process. There's an applicant organization form and there's a PRS activity checklist. These have not been released, so I don't know what they look like, but come back and join us on September 30th. We will have another session like this. I'm assuming that documents will have been released by then and we will walk through those together. And according to Windrock International, this is based on estimates, so you won't have to show receipts. When should you submit your application? As I said, the application period opens September 23rd and it closes at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time on November 8th. So you will have a little bit of time to fill out the application, but try not to wait until the last minute. So you've submitted your application, then what? The USDA will conduct an eligibility review process. Each application is reviewed using these criteria. Was it submitted and received before the deadline? Are you an eligible entity that meets the small business standards listed in the table that we reviewed? Did you include those 2 required forms, the information in the checklist? And are the forms complete and accurate? If it meets those criteria, it will be considered for funding. If it does not, it will be removed from consideration. So this is not a first come, first served program. They're actually going to review all applications. I think it's worthwhile to note that they say they reserve the right to prorate individual award amounts if the cumulative amount of funds requested is greater than the funds available. So this tells me that they're going to try to fund as many applications as possible, but if they have more applications than the total amount of funding, you may have requested $5,000, and in order to spread the funding out to as many people as possible, they may only give you $3,000. So it just depends on how many applicants they get, and they reserve the right to do that. They don't say that they will do that. They also may target funding for different sectors depending on the total need requested in each sector. And there are general terms and conditions described, but I'm not sure where those are. So if you are approved for funding, they will send you a notice of award to the contact information you provided. And that will include instructions for accepting funds. Windrock's email said that this will be in waves. You know, it will close in November 8th, but they will start payments in early December. So fingers crossed that they can keep to that timeline. There will be an administrative process involved. If you're selected, you'll have to register in sam.gov. And this is considered a federal grant. This is not a direct payment. I will pause here for questions. And then they do provide a contact phone number and email address if you have further questions. So those were the main points that I wanted to cover. And I want to make, oh, yeah.
We have one question in the chat. It is, for a for-profit business, is this grant a taxable amount?
That was one of the things Winrock International touched on. Is this considered taxable income for small businesses? Yes, they said. And I see your name, Jonathan. Are you Jonathan Mosier from Forager Farm? Yes. Okay. Hi, Jonathan. Glad you could join us.
I just wanted to say, if you're joining us on Facebook, I've put links to the Google Drive with the resources into the comments under the video. So any of the stuff Stephanie went over, you should be able to find that and reference that as you are getting started with this application process.
Thank you for putting that there, Felicity. And I want to remind everyone that we will hold another session like this in 2 weeks, also on a Thursday, also at noon. So Thursday, September 30th, from noon to 1. And the assumption is that by then the application will have been released. There may be more information available from either the USDA or other support organizations like the Wallace Foundation. And so we may have more information, and at the very least, we'll be able to walk you through the actual application forms. And, you know, the USDA provided information. FARRMS is also here to help. This looks like a fairly straightforward application, but, you know, we're good at reaching out to the USDA to help find answers to your questions. And we're here to help you. We want as many farmers to benefit from this as possible.
One hiccup that I saw that may be a challenge for us, and we've run into this a couple of times, is sometimes funding options ask for an owner or what did this one say? The CEO or something like that on there. And with the co-op, since we have equal ownership among our members, we always have to try to figure out how they expect us to fill that out. So if you hear anything along those lines, you know, and you could reach out and give me any clarification, or if one of your other resources might have an answer for that, because like on that done application, that will be a challenge for us. I know there was another one that we were applying for and they wanted the name of someone who had a 20% share. Well, no one has a 20% share of ownership in the co-op, you know, because the member owners are all equal owners, equal ownerships. Right. So, so if you know anything about that, I mean, we'll obviously attempt to fill it out. Maybe if we put the president on there, because the president of the board is kind of like the CIO type thing for us. We'll see if that's going to be satisfactory enough, but that may be a little bit of a challenge.
I can say that that one question on the DUNS application where it asked for your role in the organization, that drop-down list was really long, and it included everything from like a administrative assistant to a co-owner to a owner to a just yeah, so, but there's, yeah, other fields where it talks about an owner. So, and yeah, co-ops are, that business structure is something I'm not real intimately familiar with. Well, are there any other final questions? I'm really glad you all tuned in today, and please help us spread the word. We really want people to take advantage of this program. And again, you know, reach out if you have further questions about this. If we don't know the answer, we will do our best to find the answer.